expression there. So this is pretty useful. Same thing with outgoing routes. So, for example, in Germany, many people are having ISDN or ZIP or whatever. And if one trunk goes down, the system sees, okay, this one is going down. I take the backup or the backup of the backup. And again, same thing, regular expressions, weekdays. And we try to do our very best to make that as simple as possible on the GUI. This is complicated stuff, but we try to do it as simple as possible. This is an example for the call forwarding feature. This can be done by every user for his phone. All sorts of different ways of call forwarding. Soft keys, that's the thing I told you. This is a soft key setup for a Siemens OpenStage 880. So you can put here all the stuff you want on that key, or the configuration. If your phone supports it, you can even write on the display near the next to the button. So that is pretty cool here too. And you can do that group-wise. So you can say this department has this preset of keys. Like say the first 4 keys are the same for the whole department. Then each person in the department cannot override the first 4 keys, but can do the next 20. And you can what is the word? Cascade it. Again, ringtones, my favorite feature. You just upload an MP3 or WAV or whatever and be happy. But again, that's kind of boring because many people are doing this. Many PBXs do this. So what is special here? Here you can see this is an admin GUI to create new users. Let's say you have a phone system with 5,000 users. You don't want to use the web GUI to integrate 5,000 users. Of course, we have ADAP integration, but let's say you don't have an ADAP. You just want to have 5,000 users in your PBX. You don't want to use the web GUI. And you don't have to, because we have scripts for everything. So the same thing you just saw here, you can see on the shell too. And that is very, very good if you are running a big PBX, and if you're a Linux guy, a Unix guy, and you want to automate things. And we have scripts for everything. So this is we try to make it as obvious as like GS Q del. That's probably to delete a queue. So and if you want to like GS host gets or GS host phone gets, if you want to have the IP address of a special user, specific user, you just use this script and then you get the IP address. Or the other way around. You know the IP address, but you want to know which users logged on at that address. You can get that here too. So everything you can do on the GUI, you can do by script too. That is very, very powerful for big installations. So that's one of the reasons admins love it. You can have everything on the command line too. You can have big scenarios of rolling out because you don't have to configure the phones by hand. You just plug them in and the system will do the rest. So that's very, very easy. If the company grows, no problem. You still use the same PBX. So you start with a 1 server PBX. You don't have to have the cluster. You just start with a 1 server PBX. And if you grow, you can use the same software, but grow a cluster. And it's GPL, which is nice always. Many big customers are running call centers. So we have all the call center stuff in there. I'm not going into the details there because we all know the call center flexibility from Asterisk. But there's some stuff like monitoring you normally have to buy from third parties. We include that here. Things like this is a peer monitor. So I have a couple of peers and I want to see what they are doing. So they're calling, who they are calling, etc., etc. Of course, there's a right management. If I don't have the right to see that, I cannot see that. This is a configuration. It is not the fanciest of all GUIs. But the reason for that is we want to keep that as simple as possible. You can use it on your iPhone with no problem. So that is, we have sometimes customers who are using very old things for dispatcher units. So we want to make that as HTML simple as possible. We do use Ajax sometimes, but we don't do that in an extensive way. Same thing or same idea with queue monitoring, because in a call center you want to know what's going on. So you have these, it's just a simple example. You have 4 queues and you see who is calling or who is having a call in that queue, who is busy, who's available, etc., etc. And you see all the sort of magic numbers you want to know at the given time. And you can do alerts here. So if you want to have an alert if a queue gets, I don't know, 80% or something, then it'll show here. So it's GPL. So even if we do probably 95, maybe 98% of all the coding, there's an active community. We have 2 mailing lists. It is actually an old slide. You see this slide says 317. Actually, right now, I looked it up yesterday. We have a little bit more than 550 users on the users mailing list. This is the mailing list for the normal administrator. So if you have a question like, how can I install it? Or I have a problem with this and that, go to that mailing list. You see a lot of postings are in German. That's just the way it is. You don't have to learn German. You just post your English question and everybody is happy to answer in English. We haven't split it up yet. Maybe we'll do that in the future, but right now we are running good with a mixed mailing list, 2 different languages. And then we have a developer mailing list with 200 people on that, and that is just for developers who say, okay, I have this piece of code, I want to add this and that, how can I do that, or I found a bug, or whatever. The whole system is on GitHub, so you can fork it if you want. And play with it. It's just you have to get a feeling for the software. So always one of the questions is what is on the horizon? Currently we are releasing version 1.3, which will be releasing probably this week or next week. But we are already working on version 4.0. We are lucky we got a government contract for that, so we can start at scratch. And we do that, and the main topic will be security. Security was, we are talking about secure line, so if 2 companies installing Gemeinschaft 4.0 and don't even know each other and want to make a secure call, they don't have to exchange keys and all this geeky stuff. They just call each other, and then they see on their phone, okay, this line is secure. So this is we are talking about a very easy securing of a phone call, which everybody can do. And the next step of security will be code-wise. That's the reason why we don't recycle a single line of code. We will rewrite the whole project. We will do all the testing stuff. We will even change the programming language. Gemeinschaft 3.1 is PHP. Gemeinschaft 4.0 will be Ruby. And the whole web thing will be Ruby on Rails. So we are changing everything. And the whole thing will be pen tested and certified. So we are very lucky to get this contract because we couldn't afford it to do it ourselves. But that means we are releasing, or we are planning to release it in the 3rd quarter of 2011. So it's the current version will be there quite some time. And the new version won't have the same feature set because we are talking about a secure PBX. We have to limit the features because there are features out there which I cannot, they are just not secure. And you can't secure them very well. So far, any questions? Yes, or maybe even BSD. Who knows? Yes, but I thought it would be much more fun to have German slides here. It's just everything is in English too. Maybe I can show you. Uh, See on the right corner? Let me. Here? That's the magic button. So, another question.
Regarding the security, do you know how already how you implement it, the security between unknown parties when they call each other?
Yes, but I would like to keep that to myself right now because it is kind of an no, not security. We are talking open source, and it's not like security through obscurity. We are doing it a secure way and an open source way. But I don't want to come again in 2 months. Okay, then we have the first code. Go to our mailing list, and we have a Twitter account, so just subscribe to that and or follow that, and you see what's going to happen.
Will it work also via the PSDN or only SIP directly?
Only SIP directly. It's not. Yeah, we don't do any fancy ISDN stuff there. Just SIP.
How do you do the routing? Email or Dundee or
Probably not Dundee. Not Dundee. Enum and E64. So, but actually today somebody gave me a good idea. So maybe I have to add something more.
Your auto provisioning feature, does that also allow for management of firmware hits and that sort of thing?
Yes, it does. Yes, which can become quite tricky. There are a couple of GNOME phones, which GNOME firmwares, you have to actually first downgrade to be able to upgrade to the next higher level. So you have to reboot your phone. I think there's one scenario where you have to reboot 4 times. But everything is automatically. So you can set up your system, let's say 1 a.m. in the morning, update my firmware to the current version, and it will do it. And you even can split up groups. You can say, okay, let's update the firmware for the IT department first. We see how it's going, and then after, let's say, 4 weeks, you upgrade the firmware of the other departments too. So that's a very intensively used feature.